At this time, before we go to the Pledge of Allegiance, I am going to select one person to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and the rest of us can stand at attention or sit up at attention. And that person is going to be our distinguished Toastmaster, John Morris.
Thank you.
At this time, I am going to share my screen. And we can all stand up or sit up, and John can recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Good job. At this time, I would like to now return control of the meeting to our president, Shirley Rao.
Okay, welcome to the Youngest and Funnest Group, and also the new name, our Last Minute Club. So it seems like we're really earning that reputation, but thank you for signing up at the last minute. We do need a couple of more positions filled, an counter or a grammarian. And I see a couple, well, I don't know. Kim told me that she was going to be visiting but not staying long. But Andy, would you like to be an counter or grammarian for our meeting?
I could be the grammarian. Do you have a picked out word for today? You don't want me to pick out a word?
Well, actually, in our club, the Toastmaster picks out the word of the day, and he will tell you what it is in a moment. That in our club, we do it a little different. So, okay, thank you so much for filling that role. Okay, and I would like to welcome our guest, a couple of guests, and Kim Basnet and Andrew Burns. So Kim, do you have any short words you would like to say to our club?
Yeah, good evening, Carrollwood. It's nice to be here again. I told Shirley, who's my colleague at the Clearwater Sunday Speakers Club, I'd love to visit again. Wednesday nights are good. I do have a briefing meeting for one of the contests at 7:30, so if you don't mind, I'll have to break away and then I'll rejoin as soon as I can. But thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming. We always love seeing your face and bringing your energy to our club. Thank you for attending, Kim. And of course, Andrew Byrne. I think he's going to be around more, but thank you for coming. You have a couple of things you would like to say before we start our meeting?
Yes, I told you yesterday at the showcase that I would be very happy if the club wills it to join your club and be a member of District 48.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that will help me sign up for the conference. I was having significant troubles getting in to sign up for anything. So, do
you know how to sign up?
Well, they had a thing with Eventbrite, but then they asked for my event.
No. I meant with our club.
No.
Okay, a little bit later on, Brenda Adams. You see Brenda Adams? Will you get in touch with her and she can, or you have to go to a meeting after this meeting?
Yes, but that doesn't start until 9.
Okay.
This is my slow day. I only had 6 Zoom meetings.
Good. She can explain to you how to do it on our website and what we need on you. And if you would just get her phone number and get in touch with her after the meeting, I appreciate it.
If she puts it in the chat, I'll be happy to take the information down.
Okay.
Well, you're on the right spaceship. You can go back in time, make up a little bit.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. Let's move along. And I want to tell you that I'm going to be excited to be part of the conference this year. I've taken on different things to help out with, and I'm going to be very busy. And next week, I have a speech, and I will be bringing back some information about the conference. There's always something to learn and I'm going to be doing that. Now I have to let you know that I have to be on a briefing also. So I may be leaving this meeting and trying to get back on before the end. If I don't get back on before the end, which I think I will, then Prima will close out the meeting at the end. Okay, so now moving right along, and also, I wanted to mention one more thing. Be aware that this is the month that we're starting to look for new officers. They have to be chosen soon. So look at what office role you would like to take on. We have several that are open, and these are roles that will help you grow and be part of the Carrollwood Toastmaster Club to make it a success. So I'm going to be calling each one of you personally, not only for not just the officer roles, but I really want to get to know how you are doing with this club, with Toastmasters, what your challenges are in moving along. And I have a couple of other questions to ask you and tell you what's coming up. But I think sometimes I send out emails and people don't do well with emails. So I'm going to be calling you. Hopefully you will take no more than 5 minutes of your time to help me know where you stand with this club and Toastmasters. So just be patient and know that I'm going to be giving you a call. Okay, love you guys. All right, now it is time for me to introduce our Toastmaster for the evening, Mr. Jim Sims. Jim had dual careers in commercial banking and nonprofit fundraising. He worked at a Heritage Chase Manhattan Bank and National West USA. After his banking career ended in 1994, Jim worked with several United Way organizations, including United Way of Long Island and United Way of Tri-State. Jim relocated to Florida in 2003, where he was development director and community relations manager for Youth and Family Alternatives Incorporated. Woo! Jim retired from YFA in July 2013. Jim has been a Toastmaster since October of 1997 when he joined Easy Speakers Toastmaster in Hop Hog, Long Island. Jim belonged to multiple clubs in New York, including Hofstra University Graduate School, a business club, which Jim coached when they started in 2003. Jim is currently Vice President of Public Relations at Carrollwood Toastmasters Club in Tampa, Florida. Oh, I'm out of breath. Okay, as Toastmaster, Jim has participated in and judged speech competition. He has served in judge for Rotary District 6890 Academy. Okay, we know he is experienced. He is well on his way to give us a good meeting as a Toastmaster. Let's welcome our Jim Sims.
Wow, was that a long introduction?
Wow.
I'm not so sure I want to be part of the last minute Toastmaster. I'm looking forward to being back in the Jimmy B. Keel Library, or maybe in a bar before that, where we can meet in person, because I think half of the members don't really even know who or have met half of the other members. And some of the legend of my previous Toastmasters, I just learned the Leadership Roundtable, where I learned to meet once a month and eat Chinese food. They're just celebrating 20 years on like June 5th. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. One of the benefits, I think, of our new modus operandi of remote meetings. So how did I pick Audrey Hepburn, a mighty girl, as our theme? I have far too many friends on Toastmasters. I spend an inordinate amount of time in social media. And all of a sudden, I found a story about her in her connection with UNICEF and her involvement in the Netherlands in World War II. And I had only known of her in the movies that she was part of. She's known as the third most knowledgeable or the third most popular actress in Hollywood. And she was born on May 5th of 1929. And so the word that I chose, because I think Audrey Hepburn is one, is icon. An icon to me is someone who's made a tangible difference and a positive influence on a measurable scale. However, the term can be used on a more specific scale: an icon in fashion, an icon in sports, an icon in film. I think most people who follow the NBA would say that LeBron James is an icon. And an example in a sentence would be the Statue of Liberty has been an icon of freedom. I understand that we've had to have a few pinch hitters, and one of the pinch hitters this evening is the general evaluator, Tom Strauss. I'm going to invite him up to the stage to share with us what his crackerjack team of evaluation will accomplish this evening. Please give him a warm Carrollwood Toastmaster welcome. Tom Strauss, general evaluator.
Thank you, sir. So I am the general evaluator this evening, and the general evaluator has a number of tasks that he has to complete. Tonight, I will evaluate a portion or the meeting. My role will be to evaluate the meeting in general. Tonight, we will hear from 3 speakers, and we will have 3 evaluators to evaluate those speakers. The goal of the evaluators is to provide, is to really to provide an experience. It's to help the speakers overcome those issues that may hold them back, and to enhance those things that are doing well. So this evening, we will have Stefan, who will evaluate Brenda. We will have Sam evaluate John Morris, and Brenda Alaco will evaluate Jake. And also part of the evaluation, I will evaluate generally how well the meeting is handled, and I will introduce, when the time comes, my grammarian, our counters, and the rest of my team.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Mr. General Evaluator, I just want to point out right now that Stefan is not a part of the meeting yet. And so maybe we could, was he scheduled to do who, John?
Brenda.
To Brenda. Well, Brenda, would you mind if we did a round robin evaluation of you?
Prima is evaluating me.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I could have read that wrong. So we will change that for Prima evaluating Brenda.
Okay.
I also believe Jake Martin is being evaluated by our other Brenda, Brenda Adams.
Brenda Adams.
Is
yes.
that correct?
Right.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think
that's
you might have. Oh, I might have heard Brenda Alaco.
No, Brenda
Sorry about
Alaco
that.
was for Sam.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, great. All right,
All
thank
right,
you very
so-
much.
So Sam is going to be evaluating John.
Yes, and Brenda Adams will be
okay.
evaluating Jake.
I thought you had said Stefan in that mix.
No, I did as the first one. Stefan was to evaluate Brenda Alaco.
Okay. All
Did I say
right.
that right?
Never mind.
Yes.
I will
so
mute
now it's Prima.
So to be clear, I will be evaluating, excuse me, I will be evaluating John Morris. Okay.
Is that Sam? Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, this is Sam.
Okay.
Thank you.
If your name has been mentioned for a role and you're not here this evening, please raise your hand. All right. As I mentioned, the 92nd birthday of Audrey Hepburn was on May 5th. She is the 3rd greatest female screen legend in American cinema. She's famous for Breakfast at Tiffany's, Roman Holiday, and My Fair Lady, but she was also deeply involved in humanitarian work as UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, a dedication born out of the years Hepburn spent living in Nazi-occupied Netherlands, where she experienced the brutality and deprivation of war firsthand. As a young teen, she witnessed Jews in her community being rounded up in trucks and in trains. Her uncle and cousin were executed by the Nazis, and Hepburn herself suffered malnutrition during the period known as the Hunger Winter. Our first speaker, no, we're going to do table topics, and our table topics master this evening is none other than Don Prue. Don, please take it over. Impromptu speech. Tell us what we're going to accomplish this evening and carry on.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Table topics is that portion of the meeting designed to give members and guests an opportunity to speak extemporaneously for a minute or two. Its purpose is to help you develop the ability to organize your thoughts quickly and respond to impromptu questions or topics. Tonight's questions are going to be related to that great film and fashion icon, Audrey Hepburn. Here are some of the 107 Audrey Hepburn quotes that will inspire you and can be found at keepinspiring.me, and just go to famous quotes and you should find Audrey amongst all the others. The first question is, her quote is, living is like tearing through a museum. Not until later do you really start absorbing what you saw, thinking about it, looking it up in a book, and remembering, because you can't take it in all at once. What has been your experience visiting museums here in Tampa or elsewhere? Is there one you might highly recommend? And this question is going to our guest, Kim.
Wow.
By the way, I don't have a lot of choice. Almost everybody here has a role. So I am going to have to ask some people with roles to step up. But right now, Kim, you don't have a role.
Thank you, Don. I feel like I stepped in a bear trap. All these fantastic members filling all the roles. Good evening, Carrollwood Toastmasters Club. I apologize. I don't know if you have a nickname for the club, but I know it's a fun one and a young one. Ms. Audrey Hepburn, when I think about museums, and I was hoping Don wouldn't ask me to repeat that quote because it was the length of a book, I have to admit, last week I went to a conference in Savannah, Georgia. There's a brand new JW Marriott hotel that's built in a former electric plant on the river there. It is amazing. They added the theme of fossils and geodes. They had geodes, I'm 5 foot tall, 15 feet tall, and you can walk into it. They're like caves. Then they had an ancient bear skeleton, as well as other fossils. That itself is a museum, and it's only $219 a night to stay there and enjoy a free museum. I was oohing and eyeing. I bet Audrey Hepburn would do the same if she was in my shoes. Please, I am putting the good word out for JW Marriott, not because they don't have enough money, but because they finally focused on our history, geodes and fossils in Savannah, Georgia. Go there soon. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Kim. Super job. Okay, and we've gotten a couple of new participants. So at this point, I'm going to read the next quote from Audrey Hepburn, and it is another book. When the chips are down, you are alone, and loneliness can be terrifying. Fortunately, I've always had a chum I could call, and I love to be alone. It doesn't bother me one bit. I'm my own company. Have you or someone in your circle or family or friend found that loneliness during COVID-19 was worse than the fear of the pandemic? And that question is going to go to Woodrow, if you can handle it. I know it looks like you're driving.
I don't think it was worse. And I don't think it was worse for this reason. Because initially, for some reason, this rattled me. And I don't get rattled by much. My wife will tell you, my family, I firmly believe that panic only makes a situation worse. It absolutely makes a situation worse. The other night, the alarm went off in the gymnasium, and my poor little girl, my youngest daughter, she just freaked out. She's running from here to there, and Daddy, we got to do something. And I said, no, you got to stop. You got to relax, because there's nothing to be done. The alarm went off, and we're going to fix it. And that's just an example. Panic never fixes anything, and I firmly believe that. But this rattled me. When the pandemic first broke, I was very rattled, and I really can't even tell you why. I mean, the obvious things were, obviously, we weren't sure how it was being transferred, and it was transferring from one person to another person so quickly, but it rattled me. The loneliness of quarantining didn't bother me. That just gave me more time with my family. I was with my wife, I was with my 3 children, I was with my dog, and quite frankly, we were able to spend some quality time that we probably would not have been able to spend had it not been for the pandemic. So that, I didn't feel lonely at all during the pandemic. But the pandemic itself absolutely rattled me. It shook me. I was more worried for those that I loved. I had a very disturbing thought, and it was that I was almost in a peaceful place, that my parents had already passed away, and that in their late 70s, early 80s, which is where they would be now, they would have been in the midst of this. And I think that would have been more stressful than anything. So it was the fear of the pandemic, definitely not fear of loneliness. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Woodrow. Another excellent job. My next question is, or the next quote I'm going to read is not quite a book. I never think of myself as an icon. What is in other people's minds is not in my mind. I just do my thing. The question is, if you were to become an icon, what skill or accomplishment would you want to lead to being iconic? And that question goes out to Mano. Mano, can you take the question?
Oh, sorry. I am in driving, so, but yeah, I did not hear. I will try. Sorry.
Okay. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. If you were to become an icon, what skill or accomplishment would you want to lead to becoming iconic?
Okay. I clearly believe in 3 principles for personal or professional life. And I feel them that can make anyone an icon. And personally, I feel for myself though, one is focus, concentrate, and empathy. These 3, I definitely feel if we have them, that could help us in becoming whatever we want to become, and in becoming a role model to others too, if they could have them also. So definitely like focus in doing whatever we do, and concentrating on mindfulness and empathy for others. So yeah, I feel these three.
Okay.
Over to you, Toastmasters, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mano. Good job. The next question or quote in question is, for beautiful eyes, look for the good in others. For beautiful lips, speak only words of kindness. And for poise, walk with the knowledge that you are never alone. Especially in this world of political turmoil, how do you find the good in others, even when you know they don't share the same opinions you have? And that question is going to go out to Andrew. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Don. You're asking me, how do you find the good in others? That is an important question.
Even when you, the question is, especially in this world of political turmoil today, how do you find the good in others, even when you know they don't share some of your opinions?
Excellent question, Don. Thank you very much for the question, fellow Toastmasters, dignitaries, and guests. The issue is really a challenging one. It's one that I live through all the time, because our political system right now has seen a lot of divisiveness. And you look at what is going on and you scratch your head and say, how is this possible that the perspective of some people are so far away from reality than others? It's a challenge. You have to hold true to yourself, be truthful, understand the tenets of Toastmasters, which is integrity, respect, service, and excellence, and apply that in your own life. You have to ask yourself the question, even if people are doing wrong to the community or others, how would you feel about it? Do you want to be complicit with that? Or do you want to separate yourself and be an icon to others, a symbol to others that you are going the right path or doing the right thing? I think this is a challenge because everybody likes to feel comfortable within a group. But when you separate yourself on a righteous path, on a proper path, sometimes you walk alone. Thank you very much, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Andrew, for stepping up. Excellent job. That concludes this Table Topics presentation tonight. I want to keep it at 4 people because I want to make sure that the speakers get plenty of opportunity to do their presentations tonight. But let's summarize. First off, did everybody speak within time? Alyssa, Ms. Timer.
Mr. Table Topics Master, yes, everyone was in time. Did you want me to go through them or just tell you?
I don't think, if anybody wants their specific time, they can shoot a chat over to Alyssa, and I'm sure she can send it to them. That'll save us a few minutes.
Yeah.
So on to the review. I'm going to review what everybody said. The first person who spoke was Kim. And Kim made a promotional announcement for JW Marriott tonight. But she talked about how it had a geo and fossil component to it. And she's actually not here right now, but you can still consider her for favorite Table Topics presentation. She is hopefully going to be rejoining us after her meeting's finished. The next person who spoke was Woodrow, and his comment was his Table Topics was whether loneliness was worse than the fear of the pandemic, and he actually admitted to us that he was actually terrified about the pandemic, and it really scared him, and that he felt loneliness was something he could deal with. In fact, it helped him bond a little bit more with his family. So he was in favor of loneliness over the pandemic. And the next person that spoke was Mano. He talked about how he could become iconic, and his 3 items that he thought were important were focus, concentration, and empathy. And then Andrew wrapped it up by talking about how to build good relations with other people, even if you don't agree with their political or their opinions. And his main point was that you have to be true to yourself and follow your own direction and dreams. And even if you walk alone, at least you'll be true to yourself. So those were the 4 presenters. And if you could, please send me your vote through a private chat directly to me. Don't send it to everyone. Just select me and vote for who you think was your favorite table topics. Mr. Toastmaster, I turn control of the meeting over to you.
Thank you very much, Don Prue, for sharing with us. Don Prue, as treasurer of the Youngest and Funnest Club, his reports have become iconic. They are so detailed and thorough that we leave no stone unturned when it comes to the success of our club from a financial standpoint. I would suggest that Alyssa share the times with everyone as a separate chat box, because of the fact that if you're to enter a contest, you don't want to stop at the green light. You don't even want to stop at the yellow light. You want to try to stop at the red light, and because that allows you to use your stage time most effectively. During the Hunger Winter, in which 20,000 Dutch people died of starvation, Audrey Hepburn was an accomplished ballet dancer. She danced secretly for groups to raise money for the Dutch resistance. She once remarked, "The best audience I ever had made not a single sound at the end of my performance." Her wartime experiences had an indelible effect on Hepburn and sparked her lifelong devotion to humanitarian relief work, especially serving as a UNICEF ambassador. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, was started in December of 1946 to meet the post-war needs of Europe and China. It is now time to go to our prepared speeches. And our first speaker this evening is Brenda Alaco. She was once described as the busiest retiree. Between Toastmasters and her other interests, a 40-hour work week was like a holiday. How do you take time and do all your other daily requirements? Manage your time accordingly. During her tenure as a Disney trainer, Brenda had access to and was mentored by Disney executive Lee Cockerell. His first role as Disney was overseeing Disneyland Paris. In what was inspiring, he didn't even speak French. This meant there were no excuses for not getting the job done. Brenda worked at a program that helped her maintain the 40-plus hours at Disney, work out, have a good home balance, and include Toastmasters leadership, former district executive, and was all time consuming. Tonight, Brenda will share how to set boundaries and create life balance management. It's a non-manual speech, but it's a workshop or part of a workshop that Brenda gives twice a year. Life management. Brenda Alaco.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmasters. There is a difference between being efficient and effective. Can you tell the difference? In the next 7 minutes, we will take a glimpse in how you can have the time of what you should be doing as well as what you want to do and have that home life balance. It's important to maintain that for mental health. How many of you use your technology to keep track of everything you need to do? Do you keep it all in your phone or your iPad or the computer? Awesome. How many of you use the old-fashioned way, a calendar? Both are excellent examples on how you can keep track of everything as long as you actually use them. Not just put the stuff in there, but use them. And there's also a way on how to use both this and this. My mentor, Lee Cockrell, was an interesting storyteller. And one of the things he talked to us about was the fact that he does use both. And if you ever go to like a dollar store or one of those others and get like a little pocket version of the calendar, he uses that in addition to his phone. In fact, all of his pants, all of his slacks may have come off the rack, but he had the pockets custom made so that he could keep that pocket calendar in his pocket. And there's a couple things he added to his calendar, and I keep it on my calendar. And those are 3 little things. 1, stop. There are things you probably should stop doing in order to have a more efficient and effective day. 2, start doing. What are the things you think you need to start doing? Write them down. It's been proven that if you write things down, you're more apt to feel accountable in doing them. For me, I have to write down the fact that there are certain days during the week that it's my responsibility to walk my dog Maggie. Why? Because my husband goes to work. If I want Maggie to do what she needs to do, and I have a nice clean house, that means we have a schedule. She gets fed by 5 in the morning and fed by 5:30 in the evening. And that allows her to have a nice balance so that when it's ready for her to take her morning walk at 8:30, she's ready. And her evening walk, we've moved back a little bit because of the heat. But I'm responsible for Maggie on Sunday, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. My husband gets her the rest of the time. So yes, that's marked in my calendar. The time that I need to walk her is also marked into my calendar. So those are the kind of details that you need to put in your calendars to make sure that you're doing what you need to do and when you need to do it. And then there's those things that you need to continue to do. For me, it's making sure that my calendars are detailed. The one on my phone is just a reminder when I have meetings. The one, my paper one, I mark down when I have to pay all of my bills, my meetings, and things that I'm making commitments to. Why do I make that kind of detailed? Is so I don't overcommit. How many of you have said yes in the moment that yes, you will do something, and all of a sudden you're looking at your calendar and you've made commitments and you can't be in 2 places at once? At least not yet. So each time, there's also one other thing is, for me now, it only takes me about 15 minutes to go through and make sure that I have everything written down for the week. I take 1 day a week, and that's my day, and usually on Fridays, is I set that time aside. That's my bill paying day. That's the day I get my calendar in order. But I kind of look through it at the end of every day because there are days when I didn't plan well or something happened that I didn't get everything done that I needed to get done. So guess what happens? What I didn't get done today goes on tomorrow's schedule. So I need to make sure for tomorrow that I allow those kind of time frames that I can make sure that I have a little extra time for the things that I didn't get done today. The other thing that's on my calendar is who did something for me during the week that I really need to make sure that I show my appreciation. Now, I know I've probably said thank you and I sent an email saying, gee, I really appreciated everything you did for me. or you did something that you didn't need to do. But sometimes a card in the mail is just as is really nicer. How many times have you gone through the week and all of a sudden you've gone, I forgot to say thank you to someone. I forgot to do something for someone because they were so kind to me, because they did something for me that they didn't need to do. Write the name down. So when you go through your weekly encounters, you can go, I need to do this. I even have a day of the week that I call Pay It Forward Day. So if I'm either at the Starbucks or the grocery store, or if I run through the fast food place, that's my Pay It Forward Day. Might not be much, might just be a gift card. And I go, here, give this to the next person in line behind me. So everything like that is down there, and it helps me feel a little bit more balanced. As I said, I do get very detailed on everything. And I want to kind of talk about something else. And this is a quote, so I'm going to read it. Don't have it memorized, by H. Jackson Brown. And I want you to think about how often you've said this. You don't have enough time. How many of you said, I don't have enough time? We've all said it. Well, stop. That's a stop thing. Okay? You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Helen Keller, Louis Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. Efficient is being able to get things done. Effective is doing the right thing in the right order, making sure you address everything that is urgent, vital, and important in every part of your life. This is just a small snippet of that little workshop. I hope you had some great tips. I know I'm over time. Thank you all very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Who knew that in just 7 minutes, or slightly more than 7 minutes, we would learn everything we need to know to manage our life? I will ask our timer to give us a minute on the clock in which I will not say nary a word, so that we can use that time to use the chat box to give feedback to Brenda Olaco. Things you liked, suggestions for improvement next time down the road. Wow, who knew that a minute could seem so long? Audrey Hepburn participated in field mission trips. She was fluent in 6 languages. She went around the world to places from Ethiopia to Guatemala to raise awareness of humanitarian crises. She was especially adept at connecting with children. In fact, UN photographer John Isaac once said of Audrey Hepburn, often the kids would have flies all over them, but she would just go and hug them. I had never seen that. Other people had a certain amount of hesitation, but she would just grab them. Children would just come up and hold her hand, touch her. She was like a Pied Piper. Our second speaker is John Morse. Great expectations from the effective coaching pathway, researching and presenting. For more than a year now, eminent Toastmaster Wesley Sherwood, who's ill this evening, he has had, with some justification, identified our next speaker, John Morse, as Carrollwood Toastmasters leader of the anti-great movement. What's with this anyway? Isn't Carrollwood Toastmasters a great club with great speakers, great evaluators, and great weekly Toastmaster meetings? Tonight, we'll hear from the leader of the anti-great movement himself. The title of his speech, Great Expectations. Now is the time for each of you to unmute yourselves and help me welcome with a sustained, exuberant, loud, and almost uncontrollable round of ear-piercing, whistling, foot-stomping, and table-pounding applause for distinguished Toastmaster John Morse. Great
Hey!
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, I confess the word great is a wonderful word. Yes, indeed it is. It means of an extent, quality, or eminence considerably above average, above normal. That is the definition ascribed to it by Webster's New Collegiate Dictionary. The word great is used so often. Just think of, for example, the Great Smoky Mountains. Everybody considers them the Great Smoky Mountains. In fact, the Smoky Mountain National Park is called the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. If you go up the New World Trade Center to the observation deck and look out at that 360-degree panoramic view of New York City, you will undoubtedly say, this is great. This is breathtaking, because it is. Those of us who followed boxing over the last 15 or 20 years know that there is only one boxer who is the great, and that person, of course, is Muhammad Ali. There is no one in second place. He is the greatest boxer of our time. Indeed, today we call Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time, the GOAT. We call him the GOAT now. Why do we call him the GOAT? Because he's won 7 Super Bowl championships. He's been named the most valuable player in 5 of those games. That gives him the right to be called great. If you go to the Lincoln Memorial, walk up all those steps and turn to the right, you will see the second inaugural address of Abraham Lincoln etched in marble. With malice toward none and charity for all, we will bind the nation's wounds. What a remarkable thing for the president to, say at the conclusion of the Civil War. This iconic leader, this great president, deserves the title. Winston Churchill, during the darkest hours when London was being bombed day in and day out, delivered a graduation address. What he said was, I say to the members of the graduating class, never give up, never give up, never give up. He turned around and he sat down. What a remarkable speech. It has been told thousands and thousands of times. He is such an iconic leader of Britain. He deserves the name great. So what's wrong with great in Toastmasters? Well, first of all, great begs comparison. When you call the meeting tonight a great meeting, is it great in comparison to last week's meeting? Is it great in comparison to the meeting that we had 6 weeks ago? Is it great compared to a meeting when I last served as Toastmaster? I'm probably the only one who remembers it. Doubtless, it doesn't rise to the occasion of being great. The second reason for avoiding the word great is that it is probably the weakest way to offer a compliment. I say that having read from this edition of Toastmasters magazine, I read the article by Joel Schwartzberg, Make Your Compliments Count. This article was published in April 2020. In fact, this edition is the very last time that Toastmasters published a written edition of Toastmasters magazine. He said the least powerful form of compliment is to use words such as great, very good, or even awesome. He calls them, and he coined the word badjetives. Yes, they're badjetives because they are so general. They don't really tell you anything. How can we change that? Well, we can use words and phrases that mean something. We can use words and phrases like truly well-organized speech, or the speech was delivered seamlessly, or the speech was chock full of hilarious good humor. Or we can say, that speech, in that speech, you really stuck the landing. All of these terms and phrases help the speaker to become better. That leads us to the third reason why we should eliminate great. From 1924 to today, the purpose of Toastmasters has been to become better. To become a better speaker, to become a better evaluator, to become better in responding to table topics. That's why we are here, and I know it works. I know it because I've heard Jim Sims deliver a speech that he loves to deliver about his experience on 9/11. When we were building clubs a few years ago, Jim delivered that speech. I've probably heard it delivered 6 or 7 times. Recently, he delivered it again, and I can say without qualification, that time was better than any other time that he ever delivered it. He got that much better. Great has its place in the world, yes. At Toastmasters, we can do even better than great. We can choose our words that will help us become more effective as speakers, as evaluators, and as leaders. Mr. Toastmaster.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm glad to know that, just like you did this evening, that at that time I stuck the landing. Let's take a minute to give some feedback to John Morse, DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, 2 times over. Bordering on greatness, I might say. Though Hepburn was deeply affected by what she witnessed during her humanitarian missions, she went to Somalia in 1992. She called it apocalyptic. She remained hopeful about the future and especially about the impact of UNICEF's work. As she once observed, anyone who doesn't believe in miracles is not a realist. I have seen the miracle of water, which UNICEF has helped to make a reality. People in these places don't know Audrey Hepburn, but they recognize the name UNICEF. When they see UNICEF, their faces light up because they know that something is happening. In the Sudan, for example, they call a water pump UNICEF. Our third speaker and Speechcraft graduate, Jake Martin, is presenting from the Motivational Strategies Pathways Active Listening Project, entitled Listening to Lead to Life Success. The speech purpose is to demonstrate what effective listening and ineffective listening looks like. The speech will also dive into ideas of how to improve your listening skills and the many benefits that come with being a fantastic listener. If you find yourself becoming a great listener, then thank Jake and John Martin. Listening to Lead to Life Success. Our newest member, Jake Martin.
Sharing stories and expressing your life experiences can be rewarding. It can be exciting. You see, there is another skill that can be much more rewarding and much more exciting. Mama always told me, son, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. When I was young, I was puzzled. I said, Mama, what are you talking about? What are you going on about? What does that mean? Mama was wise. Mama was smart. I know what it means now. She was talking about listening. And she was telling me that listening is a God's gift. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for one reason, because listening is from God. It's perfect. It's perfect. So in this speech, I'm going to dive into what the difference between hearing someone speak and actually listening to someone speak is. I'm going to share what the great things about listening can lead to and the benefits that come with it and what hearing can lead to and some examples. The first story is going to go into what hearing is. Let me paint this picture for you. It's late on Monday morning. We got Frank sitting on the couch. He's got his TV remote in his hand. He's really sinking into this couch. He's enjoying that television. He's changing channels. Oh yeah, he's doing it. He's got a pizza in one hand. He's munching down on that pizza. He's changing channels. His wife, Cindy, barges in the door and says, Frank, you wouldn't believe the day of work I had. You cannot believe what my boss said to me today. Frank's sitting there. He said, yeah, honey, go on. I'm listening. Cindy's like, baby, this boss, he's just so rude and disrespectful to me. You would not believe it. The way he talks to me, the way he treats me. And she goes on and on about examples and demonstrations about how bad this boss treats her. Frank's sitting there. He's giving her something, but he ain't giving her a lot. He's thinking, okay, this woman's talking and I'm in my TV. And he gives a little bit of verbal, signs that he's alive and he's not a zombie. He says, honey, go on. And Cindy snaps. She says, Frank, are you even listening to me? Are you listening to what I got to say? And Frank says, whoa, honey, easy. You said something about your boss. You said how he's disrespectful and that he doesn't appreciate your work and these sort of things. Cindy stomps her foot and says, ugh, and just walks out the room. Frustrated and feeling disrespected and not listened to by her boss and now her husband. Frank is puzzled. What did he do wrong? First off, what he did wrong was he wasn't all there. He wasn't listening. He wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. Sure, he heard the words. They were noises that hit his eardrum and made some sort of signal in his brain, but he did not process this information to the point where it can be called listening. The next story I share is on listening properly, and it happens in my backyard. My backyard, me and my friend Jack are catching up. I haven't seen Jack in a very, very long time. Now's the time to get some information out of him that I want to know. I want to know how his life's going, how his family's doing, how his new job's doing. He just graduated college. There's a lot to catch up on. We exchange the formalities of the usual, how are you doing? How's the family? Any kids yet? These sort of things. We get past that and we're both given some sort of answers. And there's a point where I decide, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to this man. I will not speak. I will active listen. I sit back in my chair and I'm listening to what everything he has to say. I'm giving the nods. I'm smiling. I'm saying, go on. He said, what? She said, what? I'm giving him some sort of words that demonstrate that I'm listening and that I care. He continues going on and on about his job, and he shares with me that he is only at his job for the benefits and for the pay. Now, you don't just share this sort of thing with anybody. It's a more personal detail what the real reason are that you're at your job. Usually say you love it because of the people, and if you're not honest with yourself, that could not always be the case. But he gave me the honest truth, which was exactly what I was looking for. I'm getting to know him on a deeper level, and it's only been 3 minutes into the conversation. And then he continues going on and on and on and diving into that a little bit. And then without me prompting it, he switches topics to his family. And I learned that his family, they have some trouble at home. His mother and his father don't treat him correctly. And he tells me he wishes they would understand him more and treat him better. He wishes that maybe they would listen to his feelings and his expressions more than they do now. And then he starts diving into deeper, more sensitive subjects to show big vulnerability in his character. He was sharing with me stuff that I'm sure his friends of a year had not heard from him. It was fantastic. It was magical. I'm learning all about this man in just 5 minutes, just by being there and actively listening. Actively listening includes nodding, smiling when the time is right, using positive words that you are listening, that you are there, that you are not a zombie like Frank in the earlier story. Words such as, go on. Okay, that's interesting. Wait. And then if you want to know more, if you want to know your understanding correctly, you paraphrase. You say, wait, did you say this? And if they say yes, you're good. If they say no, ask them to explain once more. The benefits that come from being a great active listener include being seen as a leader and a role model to others. Because if you can connect to others at peak performance, they will love you. Everyone wants to feel like they're cared about. Everyone wants to feel like they're understood. You'll be seen as a leader and a role model in most situations. What I've speaked on today was that there is a difference between hearing someone speak and listening to someone speak. I dove into the benefits of being a great listener. Now, will you take mama's advice next time you talk to your friend and use the 2 ears that God gave you? Toastmaster.
Let's take a minute to give some feedback to Jake using the chat box. I love Alyssa's stoplights. I'm going to ask my wife to install those in our kitchen. The one of the things that I thought was very interesting is that 1 year before her death in 1993, Hepburn received the U.S. Presidential Medal of Freedom, the country's highest civilian honor, in recognition of her work with UNICEF. I am pleased as punch to report, I wish that Shirley was here now, we're 1 minute ahead of schedule. It's my turn to introduce Tom Strauss, our general evaluator, to carry us the rest of the way. Tom?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster. All right, at this point, all right, the part of the meeting which I think is very important, we have the evaluators that will help us or help the speakers overcome those weak habits. And I didn't see too many tonight, and add strength or strengthen to the good habits. And that's really the point of the evaluator. So this evening, without any further ado, I would like to call up our first evaluator. That is Prima, and she will be evaluating Brenda Alaco. Prima?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and Brenda Alaco. First, I want to thank you for giving this nice speech introduction in the web portal and also to send that to the Toastmaster. And in your speech, thanks for sharing all the tips for how to manage life and the timings. That is the one thing I used to struggle a lot, but these tips are really helpful. Mainly that you talked about the writing things. That means you are accountable. That works well because whenever I'm writing that time only I felt I'm accountable. That's a nice tip. And also that I like the questions you had in the middle of the conversation. This brings the attention of the audience. Actually, when you start to asking the questions, that time only the people that they started to listen and they are just asking. They can able to follow what you are talking. So I like that area. And also the quote you have give that definition of that effectiveness, efficiency. Yeah, that was more interesting. You have given at the end of the speech. That's really that interesting and also more useful tip. And your vocal varieties and the clarity in the speech is awesome. It's a perfect. I can able to follow your speech from the beginning to end. You have constructed the speech very well. So there is no scab in the speech or like that, because even I am English is a second language for me, but still I can able to follow completely what you are talking. That's that much clarity I can see in your speech. And that the topic you have choose and that was more matching with all the audience. That's the best thing I'm saying. And only thing I see to improve is the room to improve is that when you are seeing at the monitor, I think you are looking the monitor. Sometimes you are just moving here and there. Maybe you have to make sure you are looking the camera instead of monitor. That is the only thing I would say you have to improve. I'm seeing that room to improve. Thank you for your awesome speech. Back to Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Prima. That was excellent. Next, we will have our second evaluator, Sam, who will be evaluating John Moores. Sam?
Thank you, Tom Strauss, our general evaluator. John Morris, title, Great Expectations. I must say you gave a splendid speech on great expectation. I must admit, I use great too much myself, and I need to use a different word, should I say. But your speech was splendid. I'm trying not to use great. Your speech was splendid. You did an impressive job of providing examples with the badgetive word great. You also did a magnificent job using your vocal variety when you was explaining certain quotes, certain materials in the past. You use hand gestures well to enhance your speech, especially when you were referring to the past. I liked how you pointed to the back and you're talking about a few weeks ago or last week or even maybe yesterday. You also gave great examples with the Toastmasters magazine in regards to how to use the word great or not use the word great as much, giving you other words to use. I will definitely search for that magazine in the future so I can make sure I come up with some more words to help my vocabulary to be an effective Toastmaster. Lastly, your speech was well organized. I like how you named your points 1, 2, and 3 to explain your title, Great Expectations. Overall, I believe you. I know you did a great job. Not great, you did an excellent job. I don't have any things you need to improve on because I am a learning evaluator. Back to you, Journey Evaluator.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. That was splendid, magnificent, well organized, and excellent. And those are all words that we are changing instead of great. Next, we will have our third evaluator, and that is Brenda Olaco, evaluating Jake Martin. Brenda? Oh, you are on mute, Brenda.
Adams.
It's Brenda Adams, not Olaco.
Ah, Brenda Adams.
All right, I know my name, sir.
And thank you, Brenda, because it says right here, I want you to know, Brenda Adams, but I can't read.
That's okay. You're doing everything else beautifully. We're fine. I'm evaluating someone that's no longer here, but I'll give you my input anyway.
Yes, please do.
Apparently he had another engagement. In the meantime, I had to move to the other room because I'm running out of power. Unfortunately, my notes are in the other room, which is okay because he's not here anyway. Did you guys check out his wardrobe? My goodness, it looked like he was going to a photo shoot today. So professional. He looked fabulous. The appearance said, I am headed toward speaking to large crowds. I was ready to buy a ticket to his next presentation. Definitely professional attire. The tone was just so, it was lively, it was active, it was engaging. Since the first time he first presented, I always got the impression that the energy was there. He just wanted to fine tune some things, and I see the fine tuning taking place. Lots of organization, definitely. I could tell that he prepared for the presentation. Energy galore, voice variety. He did TV Bob, TV Sam, whatever his name was, and the wife that came in, he tried to do her voice. Voice variety was right on point. That was a nice inflection in there. So if by chance he gets a moment to look at this, suggestions that I would offer him would be to invite the audience in sooner to buy into what he's presenting. When he talked about TV Sam, a suggestion might be, have you ever been TV Sam, where you are just somewhere else? It puts us right in the story. Or have you been the individual sharing a story and you're talking to TV Sam? Again, it invites the audience not only to hear what his story is telling us. I got the impression sometimes that he was more of a ringmaster, and ringmasters are wonderful. They're introducing these big shows, and then the animals come in, and then the elephant comes in. I was looking for a suggestion might be try bringing it down a little bit more and identify with your audience, invite them into the story, put yourself into the story a little sooner. Presentation, flawless, energy, right on the money. Again, voice variety. I love the fact that he came back at the end and reintroduced the words that my mama said. And even those I thought would have carried a little more weight if we'd been a little more personal, as opposed to so big. I'm not sure that I bought into it because it was so big. Those were words Mommy gave you, and they're valuable to him. And I was hoping that maybe he would just kind of hold them a little closer to his chest. Overall, lots of energy. Definitely see him growing. John, a lovely, wonderful, engaging presentation.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, it's a couple more words for me. Wonder. Now I will turn over part of this to my wonderful timer, Alyssa. Alyssa, thank you, Alyssa.
You're welcome.
I will fix that. Please let us know if our evaluators and speakers were in time.
Our evaluators were all in time. Prima was at 2 minutes, 31 seconds. Sam, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Brenda, 3 minutes, 18 seconds. Very nice. And our speakers, Brenda Alaco went over a little bit. She was 8 minutes and 1 second. John Morse, the icon in time speaker, 7 minutes and 28 seconds. You did it again, 28 seconds. It's like, is there an internal clock in there or something? And then Jake Martin, 7 minutes and 16 seconds. I guess he's taking after you. He's trying to, follow you as a mentor or something on that. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Next, we will have our grammarian, Andrew. You're on mute, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate you turning over the report for the grammarian to me. Well, this was one memorable meeting. First off, the word of the day was iconic or icon. And we had many examples of iconic moments shared, with Jim providing historical moments on Audrey Hepburn. We had people saying the word. Don said it several times, myself, Jim, Allison, or Alyssa said it. But more than that, as a grammarian, I used this word as I sent it to to John. I said that the amount of words was like going to a buffet and having so many words that were unique and useful being said and to feast on. And I think that's true. I know I only have a minute, so I'll be happy to share with the Toastmaster today any other comments I have.
Thank you very much, Andrew. That was perfect. I will not say great, but it was perfect. At this point, I would like to jump into another role, and that would be the R counter. I always found that during a speech, even I, when I'm speaking, want to know if I'm doing things wrong, because I forget. I say the word "and" sometimes too often. I forget. And it comes with practice, it comes with repetition, that these words leave your vocabulary and you add in pauses. This evening, we just had a few people using ahs, ums, nos, you knows, so's. Sam, you had 2 ums, 2 ahs, and 5 ums. Prima, 2 ahs and 1 Brenda Adams, 1 ah, 2 ums, and a so. And Andrew, just 1 so, I found. Very good. Besides that, I didn't really hear anything else. That was fabulous. Fabulous. I'll put that word down too, because now I am creating a list to substitute for great. And I said that it's splendor, it's magnificent, it's well organized, it's excellent, it's wonderful. And I'm going to add fabulous to the group because that was a wonderful speech. Another part of my job here is to comment on the meeting. I don't have much to say here. I think people jumping into roles at the last moment, going through the roles, I'll put down one thumb for me, going through the roles quickly, efficiently, not dragging on. The meeting was very smooth. It started on time. And if I will stop talking, it will end on time. With that, I have nothing more to add. Wonderful job, excellent job for everybody this evening. And I will turn control back over to Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your effort pinch hitting at the last minute. I believe we still have some votes to come in. If you haven't sent your votes to Don Prue, we're a little short. The turnout isn't that great. Apparently, some people are looking for a box, and there is no box. There's only the chat function to cast your vote for better speaker, best evaluator, and best table topics. So we'll give you a minute or two to have that vote. Maybe what we'll do is turn over the time to Prima to fill in the agenda for next week. How does that sound? It looks like there's a lot of openings by looking at the website. Prima, do you want to carry us over, get some roles filled?
Yeah, sure, James. Next week, we need a Toastmaster, General Evaluator, 2 speakers, 3 evaluators, and timer, or counter, and grammarian. So anyone interested on any of these roles?
I'll be general evaluator.
John, general evaluator, okay.
Brenda Adams, I'll be timer. I want to use my new toy, Prima.
Okay.
I have it.
Alyssa, I'll be an evaluator.
Alyssa, evaluator, okay.
I could be an evaluator.
It's an Andrew.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And we need one more evaluator, 2 speakers, and Toastmaster.
Tom can be an evaluator.
Tom's. Okay, anyone understanding on Toastmaster? Okay, that's fine. Anybody interesting, then you can go and fill in the portal also, or shoot me the mail. Okay, I'll control back to Jim. James.
Okay. All right, let's go with. Okay, I guess now we can present the ribbons to our winners. Okay, what do we have here? All right, here's what we have. We have as our best table topics respondent, we have Kim, who is our guest from the Clearwater Toastmasters, and she won this distinctive ribbon. She could come to Glory Days or Molo's to collect it, or we'll send it in the mail to her. All right, and then we have Best Evaluator. We have the Best Evaluator slot. We have as Best Evaluator, okay, going once, going twice. Who is our Best Evaluator? Let me see. Okay, that looks like we have a tie. We're gonna have no, we don't have a tie. Who do we have?
We only received one vote for an evaluator.
All right, and who's that winner?
So it was a unanimous vote for Sam. was
Oh, Sam, okay, Sam is our best evaluator. Very, very good. She was unanimous. One vote. Okay, wonderful. And then we have our best speaker. Our best speaker this evening, he has had to leave to another obligation, is Jake.
no, we didn't.
We didn't? We
No.
didn't?
The-
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You gotta read your chats.
All right, the chat. We have reconnected with the chat. Our best speaker this evening is John Morse.
Hey!
All right, that's the hardest part, is the putting those ribbons. Imagine if they were real ribbons.
Right.
Who do I turn control of the meeting over to? Prima?
Yeah.
Prima, you take over in the absence of Shirley. Carry us through to the end.
Thank you, James. And I want to thank you all who are all taking the role at the last minute and make this meeting interesting. And we have, okay, the Kim, she's already left. Andrew, do you want to say anything about our meetings?
Thank you. How much time do I have on the clock?
2 minutes.
Time is up.
2 minutes. Wonderful. This is, I think, my third meeting. I skipped during the time that you were having the speech craft. I have moved into Carrollwood area in the hamlet, and this club would be there. But as I looked through District 48, I was impressed that this club was presidential, distinguished, and that represents only 1 of 10 clubs that have reached that status in District 48. So I want to be in a club where I can continue to grow and learn new things. The order in which you do things are a little bit different than I'm used to in the other clubs that I belong to, but it's a matter of learning new culture. And maybe I can share some things with you that you're not already doing. So I look forward to working with Brenda tonight and becoming officially a member of your club and attending part of the conference this week.
Hey!
Great. I mean, good.
Bagged.
Yeah.
Darn.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Shelley, you want to share something? We are done with our meetings.
No,